What is up? It's me, Elite, coming at you with another tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to be making some countdown timers, some count up timers, and we're going to set some triggers and actions to fire off when those timers reach a certain numbers. So let's do this. Alright, so after that 3-hour long intro, let's get into this timer business. I've created a brand new project here. So when I hit play, I'm just going to spawn right here next to this little platform I've made. So nothing else going on. Nice fresh platform, nice fresh scene. Let's see how we're going to make a count up timer. Then I'm going to show you how to do a count down timer. Really simple, really easy things, okay? So I'm going to go into the resources, and guys, if you remember how to create your UI, we're going to create a UI to actually display these timers. So we need some UI. Let's go ahead and select to create a UI part. Okay, so you need an arrangement and you need a part in order for this to work. We're going to create a UI part, and this will be my timer UI. The timer UI, I'm going to go into the settings, and you can see it has a text. I can change the text to whatever I want, but I'm just gonna leave it as blank. Just like that. Now there's not really much I need to do with this timer UI. I can customize it, make it look pretty however I want. I don't even have to move it or resize it or put it anywhere on the screen that I want to put it. All of that will be done inside the arrangement. So let's go ahead and make that. I'll make a UI arrangement now, and in this arrangement, this will be the timer arrangement. So this is where I'm going to add that part that I just made. Timer UI, boom, added, and this is where I can tell it where to show up on the screen. So I'll put this at 0, and then I'll bring this up. Let's bring it in a little bit more like that. Okay, so now the text still says blank, and I want this text to represent a variable, and that variable would be what is counting up and counting down. So let's make a variable. Make a variable, and I'm gonna call this my count up count up timer. Okay, in my count up timer, it is already set to scene, which is fine. It's set to number, and I'm just gonna put the value here at 500. Don't worry, we're going to come back in here, we're going to change a few things, but I just kind of want to show you how this comes together, how it works. Back into my arrangements, here where I've told it to show this as the part and where to put it on the screen, I can go down in here where it says the data item, and I'm going to tell it to change the text that's showing up here, change that text from a text to a variable, and then the variable will be my count up timer. So this is how you make a UI display a variable. Look at this. This is multiple tutorials in one. I've just shown you how to make a UI display a variable. So my variable set to 500, okay? And so the arrangement here is showing the timer part, this, and then it's also in the data items telling it to show my variable as the value for the text. Okay, if I hit play, we will not see any of what I've just made. Okay, so keep that in mind. These things don't show up unless we tell them to. So let's go ahead and create an action to now display our arrangement that we've just made. Action, and I'm going to call this show timer. In the show timer, my trigger is simply just going to be when I join the game. And then the action will simply be to show that arrangement. So show, arrangement, and then what's my arrangement? The timer arrangement. And that's it. Now when I hit play, there it shows it. And you can see that it does say 500. Alright? So we are cooking here at full speed. We're going great. Keep in mind, guys, if I go too fast, this is a video that you do have the controls to stop, go back, or slow it down using these settings if you're watching it on YouTube. Also, if it's been helpful, if any of my videos has been helpful, I really like to know. So leave a comment, let me know. Let me know. Alright, so what I'm going to do is go into the timer variable, and I told you I was going to come back here. I'm going to change the number from the variable being a number to being a timer. And this is where I can tell it how I want it to display. MM means minutes, SS means seconds. So it's going to show in minutes and seconds. Or I can have it show in minutes, seconds, and milliseconds. In hour, or in minutes, or just in seconds. I'm going to leave it as minutes and seconds. With that, if I hit play again, you can see it shows a little differently. Now that value of that 500 doesn't show up because I've changed it in the settings here. When it was at number, I did set it to 500, but now that it's at timer or time, it's just minutes and seconds. So in our action, we have gone ahead and make it show the UI. I'm going to add another action that when we join is going to now start doing some sort of count up, which is the part, which is the point of this first tutorial. Let's get it. I'm going to click the plus sign here to add another action. You can see it showing up at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and I'm going to scroll down until I see the word timer start. So timer start, I have a checkbox here if I want to do a countdown, but I don't want to do a countdown. It's just going to be a count up. And in here, I'm going to choose the variable that will be affected by this count up. So I'll choose my variable. And since I'm picking this variable, and this variable is now going to count up, and then my UI is displaying that variable, we have just made a count up timer. And you see it starts counting up. Hey guys, just want to interrupt this video really quick to remind you to drink some water. If you haven't drank any water today, get yourself some water, pause the video, and hydrate yourself. Back to the video. Let's make something happen in 10 seconds. How about that? I'll go ahead and click on my little platform here. We'll use this little platform here. And what I'll do is a bit of an animation. How about that? A little key animation here. And then I'll just make the platform go up by about 5. So if I hit play, you can see the platform will go up by about 5 like so. However, I'm going to uncheck the play so now it doesn't move unless we tell it to do so. So just a quick recap, I've made the animation move up by 5 on the Y, which is up and down. And then I've unchecked the play so it doesn't play automatically. I noticed it was set to ping pong. I don't want it to ping pong. I'll just tell it to end when it reaches the end of the animation. So when the game starts, you should see the platform go up to about 5 and then just stays there. However, because I've unchecked the play, it won't do it on its own until we tell it to, okay? So let's go ahead and tell it to. I've created one more action, and I'm gonna call this animate and timer. And timer. There we go. Now, the first thing you could be thinking is for trigger, what am I gonna use? Is there a way to check to see if the timer is at a certain number? So in the trigger, you'd find a timer countdown complete. Now this won't work because your timer is not a countdown. Your timer is doing a count up. This will be handy later when we're doing a countdown. You may think, okay, maybe we'll do the variable since it's a variable that's actually being used as the timer. And then we'll say, well, if the variable that is count up time is equal to, and just to be a little bit more robust, we're gonna say is equal to, greater or equal to, okay? Greater or equal to, and then the value, and then we'll say maybe 10. And then the action at this point is going to be to make the platform here, which I have gone ahead and tag underscore box. We're gonna try to make it move. So back to this, the platform here, which is tagged underscore box. Make it play the move forward. Now if you run this and we wait for this timer to tick over 5 or 10 seconds, it won't actually work. In fact, the platform already moved something isn't right. So the truth is that maybe in the future you'll find a new trigger here that would be relevant to if the timer is equal to a certain number. But right now we cannot use the variable because if you recall, the count up timer is not a value. It's not a number anymore. It was set to a timer, and this variable, this trigger, is checking to see if the variable has a certain value. So there isn't a time option here. If we did have a time option there, that would be perfect. Or if we had something that just simply checked to see if a timer is equal to something else. The trick that we're going to be doing here to trick the system for our count up timer to work is a lot different than the countdown timer. The countdown timer, we select the countdown complete and put the tag and we're done. For the count up timer, we're actually going to need another timer in the back end that's counting down in the same amount that we want the count up to fire at, if that makes sense to you. So if I play now, I've removed the trigger, the platform stays on the ground, which is perfect. Let me show you how this is gonna work. First thing, I'll go to my timer and I'll duplicate it. Okay, so this one is just simply called the count up timer clone. I'll go ahead and I'll copy that using my Control C. And then in my start timer, I will make this one count down. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this as well. And I will remove the action here to show the UI because the UI is already being shown. And then I'm simply just going to count down the clone timer here. And I'm going to tell it to count down by a value of 10 because I want the count up timer to do something at 10 seconds. So this is counting down by 10. It's important here that you notice that there's a tag. This is for you to give it a tag. I'm going to put it underscore T. underscore T. Again, it's set to countdown. The countdown seconds, I set it as value. And then I give it 10 seconds, okay? So there is this clone timer that is not being shown in the UI that's counting down by 10. In fact, let me just show it here, to show it in the UI, and you see it counting down by 10. Okay, perfect. So I will not show this timer. It's just something that's gonna be happening. So we still go back to this timer that will count up. Okay, so I have the other one counting down by 10 in the back end. And then what we want to do is come to our animation trigger here. And the trigger in this case will be countdown complete. And then the tag is then underscore T. Remember that tag I created underscore T? It was right here where I'm counting down this timer here. Alright, so this one is counting up the timer that's actually being shown. This one's counting down the timer that is not being shown. With that, after our timer reaches 10 seconds, see it count up. Once it reaches 10 seconds, with our fingers crossed, the platform should begin to rise. And there it goes. And with that, guys, hopefully you've seen how to make a count up timer and how to make a countdown timer in that one video. Now you can make anything happen at this point. You can make a game over screen pops up, whatever you want to happen when your count up or countdown timer reaches a certain number. Just pick apart what I've shown you, make your countdown timer and show your countdown timer, or make your count up timer and do stuff with that. So it's all up to you. The cards are in your hand. Thank you again for tuning in. This was a quick one on creating your timers. Catch you in the next one.